Hi everybody, it's Tuesday. Tuesday again. Life Coach Tuesday. This life coaching thing is getting pretty exciting for me. I'm really enjoying it. And I tell you, I originally thought an hour would be the max I could actually talk to somebody. That's what I thought. And then we start doing the 30-minute sessions and putting them back to back, because 30 minutes was not enough. You know, they wanted to keep on going. The conversation was going really good and they want to keep on talking. And that 30 minutes turned into 90 minutes. And so they go through all their sessions. And it seems like we make the most progress and the most life-changing progress in those hour and 30 minutes. So, or the hour and 90-minute sessions. So, but that is the essence of what a life coach does. Is troubleshooting something for you. You've been through something, you've gone through it a million different times, and it's just like, this thing in my life is just not working. I need somebody from the outside. And just sprinkle some wisdom on there, because I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm trying to resolve something. And life coaching is not psychiatry, and it's not an advice line, and it's not a counseling line, and it's not a Bible answer man. It is coaching you through life, helping you create future, where you're going, where you want to go. And it's not necessarily about a career. It could be about anything, about something in your family, as you'll see with these questions. Now, there's been a few things that people have been asking about, and one of the things is try to make the session shorter. So I think we got down to 20 minutes last time. So I don't know. I'm going to try to get it in 15. I'm going to try to make them 15. That seems about right, because I'm doing it every week, you know. But it just depends. You know, I don't like to be forced to end right on the dot. You know, even when I'm coaching, even if we're doing an hour and we're like right in the middle of something, you can't just say, "Oh, hour's up, bye." You know, you're talking with someone's life, and I'm by then I'm just as into it as they are. So I enjoy it. I really do. I look forward to it. But we're also talking about doing group sessions. And the way a group session will work, at least for me initially, because I didn't get a concept, because I couldn't even imagine having 10 people, and it takes everything out of me just to deal with one. But if we had like 10 people joined, we drop the cost, and each person has a specific question or goal that they want to present, and that will be presented ahead of time. And then we'd all get on the horn together, the phone, however they do those conference things. And I would take on each one of those questions, but I wouldn't say who they're from. I wouldn't give up their name or their location or anything like that. Because when it's in private, the questions are a lot better. They're deeper, they're more personal, and they get more to the point, and they're the more like questions that you'd really want to hear, because they may be talking about something that you might be too shy to talk about or too embarrassed to talk about, so you can hear it with somebody else, but also your question would be answered too. So that I could do, and that would be fun. That would be interesting, because I know everybody would be listening and everybody would get something out of it. It's just like watching one of these videos, but the questions have been amped up to high drama. Stuff that you're not going to write down because because you know it's your site, and you don't want people saying, "I didn't know that was your problem. I didn't know you had that in this issue. Are you okay?" No, you don't want all that drama, But in a life coaching scenario, when it's private and then you're anonymous, I might know who you are. And then after that, if you like what you hear and you like how everything's dealt with, then we can do a private session off of that. But if you're interested in being a part of a group session, I think I'm going to go to the life coach website that I have, carmanlifecoaching.com, and put in a new thing for bronze instead of that 30-minute thing. We're gonna do group sessions. So if you're interested in being part of a group session, just like I was explaining, then make a little note. And if you have a question for the sessions, please write it down in the comment section below. First question, 3 questions every Tuesday night, and here it is. Thanks, Carmen. I just watched the video of something you said towards the end, helped me a little. It was when you were talking about the fact that you weren't going to have all the answers. My uncle, oh, let's go. My uncle disappeared off the Oregon coast a little over a year ago. Even somebody I talked to from the Coast Guard says it was a strange case. The fact that he has a wetsuit and a life jacket on means he should have been floating somewhere, but all they ever found was the kayak that washed ashore, one of the wooden paddles, and his equipment bag. I was praying at first that he would be found alive. Well, then it was like, okay, let's just allow the body to be found. He was a former National Guard member with survival training, in great shape, and an avid outdoorsman, and there was no sign of any animal attack on his kayak. There are other details that make me think there might have been foul play involved if they never find the body so they can do an autopsy and find out what killed him. I'm afraid I'm going to have that nagging in the back of my mind the rest of my life. So if we're life coaching, this would be like, how do I deal with this? How do I get through this? That'd be a tough one because there's no resolution to it. There was a fighter on the UFC, Vitor Belfort. He was 2-time champion, one of the guys that was there from the beginning, from the 90s up until, he's still fighting now, you know, over 20 years later, one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. He had a sister who just disappeared in Brazil, and they never found her. They never found her. They don't know how she disappeared. They don't know where she went. They don't know who took her. They don't have any clues. They're just gone. There's, you know, I don't know about that word closure. I don't know. I mean, I would rather think completion would be better. I don't know if those wounds are ever quite closed. They may be closed more than they were, but I think what I would want to focus in on, if I was talking to somebody like this, because this sounds like one of those Dateline mysteries, you know. It's hard enough knowing what killed somebody. It's really hard thinking what could have and just imagining. So your imagination can be your friend or it can be your enemy. This is a situation where you do not want your imagination to be your enemy, because the enemy of your soul will torment you with imaginary scenarios, and they'll all be bad, and they'll be the worst of the worst, and they will not be from God, because it will create fear inside of you. It'll create concern and worry and dread and anguish. All those things do not come from the Lord. So that imagination that can work overtime, you have to understand what is inspiring that imagination. I would allow you, you're going to have to ask God and really consider taking your imagination and putting it forward to something that can be more beneficial for you. Just as realistic, but more beneficial. And I would think that if he's gone this long and if he's that qualified, obviously something tragic happened. Obviously there was an accident. Obviously there was something unexpected that he could not control. But here's the thing. He's going to be more a part of your future than he'll be a part of your past. Focus on the fact that you'll see him again someday. Focus on the fact that he is with the Lord. And focus on the fact that that is the hope that we all have, because sooner or later we're all going to pass through this life. That's the positive thing. Whatsoever things are good and holy and pure and honest and of good report, think on these things. Now there's a lot of things in here that are bad report, that are not good. There's some stuff here that might not be honest. You know, but I would say, and I have to slip into my minister role here and say, don't focus on those things. Focus on the positive things, the things that are good. Because God knows we have the choice on what to focus, you know. Because he says, think on these things, which means do not think on those things, which means you have the control of what you're going to think about. God gives you the control on what to put your mind on. Otherwise, he would never admonish you on what to think on, or where to think, or how to think, if your thinking was uncontrollable. So you control your thinking. And this is an area where I would want you to really focus on the fact that, first, you can control your thinking. You can control your thoughts, and you can aim them in positive directions. I would like to talk to you particularly, because I could think there's I have some unanswered questions about things in my family, you know, and I know how I've dealt with them. So this would be I'd have to know more about all of this to make any further comment, but I do want to admonish you on the fact that you have been given the ability, a divine ability, on where to think, how to think, and what to think. Because that thinking can control you. Those thoughts do not have to overtake you. How about thinking about this? This is a good saying for today. My philosophy is that not only are you responsible for your own life, but doing the best at this moment puts you in the best place for the next moment. So whatever you're doing right now is putting you in the best place for the next thing that's going to happen to you. We have control over more than we give ourselves control. We can't just keep saying, well, if it be God will. Of course we want God's will. But not everything is necessarily God's will. Sometimes we mess up. And sometimes we want to blow off our mistakes by saying, well, I guess that's the way the Lord wanted it to be. No, most of the time that's an excuse. The devil made me do it. Yeah, right. Well, the devil is not omnipresent. He can't be at all places at all times. He's just one spiritual entity that can only be in one location at a given time. Only God can be present at all places, because Jesus ascended and the Holy Spirit came back down. God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, the Trinity. So God can be in all locations. Satan cannot. He cannot be everywhere he's being said that he is. And he only has limited amount of adversaries to go to locations, and most times it doesn't take much to get us tempted. It doesn't need to be a demon or a devil. It could be by our own lusts. So we don't want to push that off on anybody else. This one says, how can you be totally calm about death and the fact of not having family member to share it with? I really don't know how to express my question. How can I be calm about death? I'm trying to think, what am I being calm about? This is making me feel creepy here. You know, not everybody has that warm, fuzzy Norman Rockwell existence where everybody's sitting around the table and whatever you're going through, everybody's sharing the burden with you. You know, if you think about how all the disciples died, these are the ones who followed Jesus personally. Most of them were executed. I think there was only one that actually died of old age. Some were thrown into vats of hot oil and burned. Some were hung upside down and crucified. And to my knowledge, only one of them was married. Peter, because he's the only one that referred to having in-laws, a mother-in-law. So for all we know, the disciples, the guys who were literally responsible for writing the entire New Testament, were basically single and alone and died horrible deaths, not having people to share that with. I think that you share these thoughts and you share this life with the one who gave you life. And the more content you are with what God is doing and that you don't have to have this and that and this and that because everybody says you're supposed to. I think you'll be much better off, because then when you do have family members to share it with, or loved ones to share something with, it just makes it all that much better. And so, I don't know, you know, a lot of times when I'm talking about tragedies, it's usually someone else's tragedy, so I don't have that heavy emotional attachment to it, because somebody has to sort of step back and bring in the common sense to a situation, because when you're going through it, you sure don't feel it. And let me say this one thing, okay? And this is something that's always bothered me. If you've ever been to a funeral, you've ever been to a viewing, and there's a dead body laying out there, and this is somebody you really love, you're grieving. Somebody always walks up to you and puts their arm around you and says, "Isn't it just wonderful that they're with Jesus and they're up in heaven and they're dancing and they're rejoicing and they're just, oh, they're having so much fun and it's so wonderful and there's flowers and there's fresh air and there's no pain and there's this." And you know, you want to choke them, because it's a time to grieve. The Bible says there's a time to grieve. There's a time to rejoice, time to grieve, and it also says rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. When people don't want to mourn with you, that means they don't care that much about you. They care so little that they have no mourn in them. They would just rather rejoice, because this death ain't making them sad. They're thinking happy thoughts. They're coming in thinking happy thoughts. And I understand about eternity and everything, but that's not the time to rejoice. That is a time to grieve. And sometimes the only way you can grieve with somebody is just to sit with them, spend time with them. You don't have to have the great thing to say. You don't have to have the great quote. You don't have to say the one thing that turned it all around. Just be there. That's all. You don't have to say nothing. Just being there is the most important thing. You know, because that grieving process is gonna take a while. Grieve with those who grieve, mourn with those who mourn, rejoice with those who rejoice. When there is a time to rejoice, then rejoice. If that person breaks out into song and dancing, well, then go ahead, but take their cue from the person who's mourning, who's grieving the most, because that's sadness. And the one thing that hurts the most is when you're sad about something and you're grieving over something, and there's a person next to you who doesn't care enough about you or the person who passed to have any grief, and they're just talking about rejoicing. You'll find out who your friends are. You'll find out who your real loved ones are when something tragic happens, if they want to stay with you through it all. Will they grieve with you? Will they wait with you? Will they stay with you? Even Jesus says, can you not just hang with me just a night? So consider that the next time you go to a funeral. Don't come in with this big old happy face. You know, because somebody just died, and there's tragedy, and there's grief and mourning. And if you love that person and have a heart for who passed, then show it. And that's just my thought on grieving. So I don't know, some of you might agree, some of you might not agree. How about this? Good quote for the day. No one on earth has the power to make you happy, sad, angry, or depressed. You are the only one responsible for those emotions. Control yourself. Don't give that power to someone else. That is so true. You know, you have the power to control your own life and your own emotions. God has given us that. He has made us uniquely that way. Okay, this one says, hi Carmen, I'm married for 22 years, I've been single 21 years now. In a short time, I'm a short-time ministry, love to share Jesus with as many the Lord bring me. Sometimes folks type because they're thinking real fast. So they type past certain words, and it makes it sound like they're from another country. Okay. Or take me to, I'm on disability for the past 9 years. I felt the Lord say to me, it's time to move on. To be honest, I'm not sure move on where or what. I'm still recovering from a 5-level back surgery. Oh, it makes me hurt. And I'm hiking. Injury, I had hiking. My oldest son, who is married with 2 sons of his own, who is a business owner as well as his wife and a captain for one of the fire department. He doesn't want me to move off, but he thinks I might be okay. I'm not real sure where God is leading right now, but so feel stirring in my heart. The one dream I have is to have a godly marriage. So you were married for 22 years, you've been single for 21? Okay. Okay. Also, I was free to marry the one of his choosing. Haven't met anyone who meets those standards. I won't settle for less. However, in the meantime, while I wait where I am to move on, sometimes the answer is so close you just can't talk to it on the phone. So you can help here. If you can help here, I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to understand. Okay, you've been through a lot. You've been through, you've been through 20 years of marriage and 21 years of being single. That's a haul. That's like a couple lifetimes. Back, you want to do something. People say you need to move on. Everybody has a plan for your life. Isn't that funny? Seems like everybody knows what's best for you. But only you know what's best for you. That's one of the things about life coaching. It's easy to just whip out some antidotes or some bumper sticker phrases. When the tough get going, the tough get going. I don't know, whatever that is. Never worked for me. And think that that's just going to be it. And you lay a couple scriptures on somebody and get out of there because you don't want to deal with them. I think you have to find out what's best for you. What I would like to do, I would love to talk to you about this, because I want to find out what your home life is like. I want to find out who's there with you. I want to find out, do you do what kind of skills do you have? What kind of talents do you have? What keeps you interested? What do you like to busy yourself with? When you're watching TV, what type of shows do you like to watch? What interests you? Because I think, all of those things, once I begin to understand you as a person, try to pull together certain little things that could create something really significant that you could really put your heart and your mind into. And, get your mind off in another direction. Because the mind is created to be active. We need to be active. Even though we may feel retired, our mind doesn't retire. It still keeps going. So I would love to be able to talk to you about this and get inside your world a little bit. But if I have anything to say, it's that, Bill, I used to tour with Bill Gaither for 2 seasons, like 1981, 82. So long ago. I measure it in pounds. I measure how much I was weighing. How much did I weigh then? Because I look at like an old shirt, pair of pants, and say, man, I could never fit into that now. So many pounds ago, I was touring with Bill Gaither. And I remember he said something to me that was pretty good. He says, get a plan for your own life. Because if you don't get a plan for your life, somebody else will. And when you don't have a specific plan for what you want to do, somebody's going to have a plan for you. And if you can't come up with something you like better, you might go along with it. And you might spend years doing something you really don't want to do. So I would want to help you get a plan for your life. Because it doesn't sound like whatever everybody's suggesting is working. And inside of you, there's a new plan. inside of you, there's a new thing that'll keep you interested and keep you active and make you productive. And all these things that have happened to you and around you will all work together. But we just have to figure out what that is. Because I know it's in there. God's already programmed it in there. And this one in particular, I feel anointed. I think I can help that. Okay. Well, another Tuesday down. And I will see you next Tuesday. And my voice will be better. It's getting lower. Maybe I'm getting older. Oh no, again?